Welcome to Real Bass. Today we're going to get into a little more jazz. I specifically want to talk about soloing over the 2-5-1 chord. But I'm not talking about a concept of scales or, sort of what mode do you use. I'm talking about a very specific little bit of language, of jazz language, a lick, if you will, that just was a perfect lick for soloing over 2-5-1s. You basically just have to know where they are in the song, work out your lick, plug them in, do them a bunch until they become very natural in your hands and your feel, and then you speak them. You learn to use them whenever the sound comes up. So that means you need to know the sound of a 2-5-1. Sure, this is a D minor 7, G7, C major 7, again, C major 7. Now, of course, to play jazz, you need to practice in all the keys. But let's pretend you have a basic background, you understand how to spell chords, you know what a 2-5-1 is, so let's talk about some of that language. Listen to this. Cool. Now, let's talk about that. D minor 7. Y'all know how to spell it? D, F, A, C. Well, look at this. A, F, D, C. Oh. By the way, that's a real stumbling block for people. We talk about learning your chords and arpeggios for jazz, learn your chords really well. And most people say, I know an arpeggio. Well, they tend to know it from the root up. You need to learn all of the different possibility, inversions and combinations and shapes of arpeggios. So we're just illustrating chords here. D minor. That's a D minor chord. A, F, D, C. G7. B, D, F, A flat. You say, now why that A flat, Jim? That's not a G7 chord. Well, that's a common, I don't even really want to call it a substitute, but a common tension found in jazz. If we take a G7 chord, and we start on the third, and we go, there's that G, or there's that 9. But if we do this little diminished sound with an A flat there, B, D, F, A flat, now this is a resolution note that wants to go. So that's a very common one. So that's one of the things you want to learn to do. Practice your dominant chord starting from the third and play diminished. So watch that lick again. 3, 4. To the C major. Again. A few more times. Get your bass out and do it with me. Hear how it sounds playing over these chords. You know what chord that was I just played there? Here's the 1 chord to the 6 chord. Now, it's not a diatonic 6, C major with diatonic 6 could be A minor. No, it's an A dominant chord. Again, that's jazz. Leads back to the D. So, watch this. What was that? Well, on our A7, that 6th chord, We start on the third, we play diminished. And look where it wants to resolve to, which is the fifth of the D minor chord. So let's do that a little bit. 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 3, 4. You notice what I'm doing there? I'm getting myself back to this note, particularly this one, so then when we get that A7, I can go. Sure, so I'm sort of like setting myself up for that A7. Here I'll leave it real empty once you can hear it. 3, 4. G7. C major. Here's A7. Yeah, but see, I was going. And then... Sure, so I got that. I was just making a little lick in C major that got me here, ready to do that. C, E, G. Good, let's do it in a little bit here with the, all four of the chords. I'll play the chords once, and then we'll play the little solo with it. You can start right now if you want. 3, 4. Some of the hard part in jazz songs is simply knowing what the chords are and when they happen. And there's no simple way to do that. You just have to listen to the song a lot. You can look at the chords out of a book if you want, but you have to get past that to get them inside you. Memorize them. Just like you should have memorized this by now. D minor, G7, C major, A7. Well, guess what? You can memorize a song just like that. And once you know the song, then you can just plug these little 2-5-1s in. And you can play them in, once you learn them in all the keys. By the way, how do you do that? Go around the cycle of 4. So just move it up by half step. Let's try that. All right. Sounds a little strange without the harmony behind it, doesn't it? But sure, you want to work this out. And then once you've got them worked out till you've done a number of keys, trust me, you look for 2-5-1s in jazz songs and you'll find them all the time. Now, there's a bunch of other ways to approach it, but this is kind of a really cool way, just outlining chord tones that'll get you in the ballpark, okay? Let's do it a couple more times, a little brighter. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure, all I did there was added rhythm. I just changed up the rhythm. Be careful that you don't get too fast there, like trying to combine the pitches and the rhythms. Work on the pitches solidly, just quarter notes there. Then work on maybe the pitches just in eighth notes. The point is rhythm should be the foundation of what we do, but if our fingers don't know what we're doing, what notes we're playing, we tend to screw up the rhythm. So work real simple at a time, just quarter notes on those actual pitches until you've got them down. Then start looking for some creative rhythms. Okay? Get the jazz happening.